Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome to my booth. My name's Jay, and I work in Voiceover. This is the third part of our series, getting you started in Voiceover, up on your feet and ready to rock. So we've got all our equipment. We know how to set up our space. Now I'll do a quick walkthrough on how to put all your equipment together and set it up with your computer so it can be ready to record. So I did a quick run through in a not very well treated space just to get good footage, and I'll just talk through what I'm doing and why. Here we go. All right, so we've got all our equipment laid out here in a very organized fashion. Usually I start off by setting up my microphone and mic stand because everything kind of is centered around that. Screwing that onto my desk standing mic stand. You can also, of course, use a floor standing or a boom arm, which will clamp onto the side of your desk. I usually record sitting down, either here in my home studio or on the road, so I use a desk standing one here. Next, I attach my pop filter. With your pop filter, just make sure there are a couple of inches of space between your microphone and the filter. It needs a couple of inches of air for it to really do its job. Next, plugging in the XLR cables here. Now, different XLR cables will have different amounts of shielding, meaning they'll reject certain electrical frequencies and radio interference. So as you're setting up and laying out your XLR cables, just make sure they're not crossing any electrical wires or outlets, things like your laptop charger, your cell phone charger, or even your cell phone itself. Because if you get a text or a phone call, it may introduce some interference to your recordings, particularly if you're using a dynamic microphone. All right, so we're plugging the XLR cable into the audio interface here. Just make sure that your audio interface isn't transmitting power to your microphone when you plug it in. If you've got power engaged when you plug the XLR into your microphone, it can damage it over time. Plugging the audio interface into our computer, and then last step are the headphones here. So we plugged in everything, it's all set up. Now I'll just go about sort of organizing my space so that it's comfortable for me to record, if I haven't done this as I've been setting up. So dealing with the cables, trying to find the right positioning, and I end up with my interface on this side, cables around the side there, and yeah, that feels comfortable for me. So I'm happy with that. And now I do a sort of hang loose symbol to just measure the distance between my mouth and my microphone. You'll also notice that my microphone isn't directly in front of my mouth. I'm not talking directly into it, but I'm pointing it at the corner of my mouth, or about 45 degrees off axis. Axis being, this is the direction I'm speaking, I place the microphone off axis. So as I'm measuring using the hang loose or two fists rule, I use that as well to make sure that my mouth is in line with the microphone. And the reason we talk off, or we place the microphone off axis, or talk across the microphone rather than into the microphone, is to reduce plosives, which are the I've even got a pop filter here, and the air just travels right through it and disrupts my recordings there. So talking off axis, or using the microphone off axis, just helps to improve your audio quality ever so slightly and make your recordings much better. One other thing that I've found is if I'm interacting with the surface that the microphone stand is on frequently, so in this case, the mic stand is resting on the table, which my computer's on. I'm going to be typing on my computer relatively frequently, which is going to cause a lot of vibrations. So it's just a bit of a headache to have to really be mindful of touching the table. You still want to be mindful, but if it's something that's going to ruin your recordings every time you touch the table, it just gets to be a headache. So what I found was using a foam yoga block like this helps to reduce some of that interference. Again, it's something you still want to be mindful of, but it just helps improve your quality of life a little bit. Additionally, decoupling the microphone from your recording surface, meaning putting it on a floor standing mic stand like this, helps to reduce that interference even more because the vibrations traveling up the mic stand not only have to travel farther, but you're not interacting with the table that the stand is resting on constantly, which just makes life a little bit easier. So now we've got all our equipment set up and ready to rock. Our space feels comfortable. The laptop isn't being blocked by my microphone. And we're ready to go into our computer and make sure everything's working properly. So I go into my computer here. I'm working on Mac. On Windows, it'll be the same, but just the system preferences there. So I open System Preferences. I'll go to the Sound tab. And under Output, I see my interface labeled there, Scarlett Solo USB. I'll click on it, and that'll just engage that as the output, which will send audio out of the headphones in the interface. Next, I go to Input, and here I've got Scarlett Solo USB highlighted, and I see the input meter is moving. It means my microphone is working well with the computer. Next, I'll pull up Reaper, which is my audio editing software, or DAW. You can see it, Digital Audio Workstation there. I'll pull up in a new, I'll label this Test, and there we go. I see my meters are moving on the side here, which means audio is coming in a healthy fashion, and I'm ready to record. All right, so we've got everything all linked up, connected, ready to go. Our computer's working splendidly with our microphone and everything. In the next one, I'll walk through how to set healthy recording levels in your recording software, whichever one that might be. I'll walk through a couple different versions, and we'll be ready to record some stuff. Until then, be well, and I'll catch you in that one. Toodles.